Hey, I'm Jay, and I've got something to say about painting techniques, layering. So you'll see I'm not very I'm not very practiced at this, so I'm not very good, but you'll get the idea. If you do just layering with no other techniques, you can end up with like a painterly type effect at the end. You'll see I give up partway through and put on a brown wash, brown and purple wash, but kind of the steps, you kind of see how the gradual steps get you to the end point. And you know, maybe a different model would have been better, but I hope you get some use out of this. So we're going to talk about layering. First video, last video, we talked about base coat, wash, dry brush. So this is going to be a little more. This is one step up from that, right? So we're not gonna rely on the cheats. We are just. It's going to drive me nuts because I love washes, but we're going to just do layering. So this looks really splotchy and horrible. This is a Games Workshop ghoul miniature of the month from the Warhammer store, but we're just kind of value sketching. So he's base coated. He looks black, but it's actually it's black and purple mix. So this is a purple, and this is kind of just value sketch. This is purple and magenta in kind of all of the recesses where in between bones or in between two muscle groups, and he's so small and delicate that it's just sloppy. But as we layer up, we're going to cover that up, and it's going to provide kind of like a value sketch. So just kind of all the recesses are that pinky purple. And we're going to bring them up to like a pale yellow green, and then when you mix the purple and the yellow together, it's going to make it gray. So it's going to create that transition of warm purple pink, you know, the blood underneath the skin, up to the pale dead skin on the ghoul, that way. So I will add a layer. This is the pink undertone. I'm going to go back over and hit purple on the raised areas to kind of more take away the slop a little bit. It'll still provide some value sketch there, but it'll provide the base coat so that there's not just black on the parts that we don't hit with the highlights. So I'll do some base coating. Now that I've got them all black, I will layer up some kind of base color on maybe some of the cloth with the dark purple. Well, that'll be red. I think I'm going to do a red cloth because I think that'll go okay with the color scheme. So I'll base coat some stuff, brown on the bones, and we'll resume when I get another layer on. Okay, so I wanted to give you a little idea of what I was aiming for here. So there's going to be like the green on top, and I have a little bit more purple so that there's not just black showing through. But now I'm going to look for volume lighting. So I'm going to kind of hold it up here to the light, and I'm going to take a screenshot of this and try to grab, you know, figure out what gets lit and what gets real close to the light here. I got a light here, so try to figure out what kind of where I want the light to come from, and I might just do I might actually do a flashlight instead, get a little more directional, a little less flooded, and try to pick out what volume. So if you look at his shoulder right here, see how there's kind of round muscles right on the top of the shoulder? We call that a volume. So you kind of paint like 75% of the next color on top of the volume. And I'm going to mix, here's my green and my magenta and my purple. So I'm going to mix some violet purple with the green, and hopefully that'll give me like a chromatic gray. And we'll start highlighting with that, and then we'll go to the green, and then we'll go to like a pale off-white green. Okay, so this actually worked better than I expected. So here's a black light. So you can kind of see what the pink is what I want to highlight, like all the way up to like off-white. And the purple is what I want to do green. And then like the black is what I want to leave the dark purple and magenta. So this is what I'm going to start with. And here's from a different angle. So you can kind of see like here's a little circle. So that's what I'm going to make, you know, a little bit lighter. Here you can see the little bump above the nose, right in between the eyes and the eyebrows. Get a little bit of light. So this is really going to help inform me on where to paint. Okay, so this like furry stuff on his back, I basically kind of did a dry brush, but you can kind of see the, that came out to like a fleshy tone. The green plus the purple came out to a fleshy tone. So we're moving up from like the bruised, bloody underneath to a fleshy before we go to the pale, pallid green, like dried out flesh. So it doesn't look great now, but trust the process. We will get there with, so I want to leave some of this peachy around the edges. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hit all the volumes, but just hit it a little less hard, and try to leave a little bit of the peachy on top. And we're just going to keep doing that with more gradual green and lighter until we get to like an ashen, pale like vampire white. Alright, so this one basically came out yellow, and it went a lot faster because like I just hit everything a lot lighter. Okay, so now I'm basically doing straight green, and again, I'm just trying to hit the high spots. I mean, it's almost like dry brushing. It's just doing it with the brush. Top of the ears, top of the knuckles. I'm just hitting it lighter and lighter every time. Okay, some green mixed with linen white. I've actually resorted to dry brushing, so I'm cheating. But if you were to use layering and just keep painting, you'd end up with a more like painterly color. But I'm just trying to bring the highlights up. Wow, is that focus bad? I'm trying to bring the highlights up. You can still see the underside's really, really dark, shadowy. So I think I'm probably going to do brown wash and bring everything back down because he's getting pretty light, and then I'm going to hit that dry brush at just like an off-white green. And then I'll go back and hit some highlights, like all these little bone things and fabric. And I will put some red layering on his little loin piece.